I look at mentorship programs, and typically they are, there's a lot of stuff aimed at very, very early stage companies. There's a bunch of accelerators and, co-working type spaces that try and build networks and help people start companies and help people with that initial 2 years. And I think there's a lot of kind of stats around that talk about how most companies that fail within the first 2 years. Now, very clearly, we've got over that bump. We're 5 years in, we're internationalizing, we're growing audience, we're growing our team, and the challenges we face are very different. And we always are going to face challenges. Every company, every entrepreneur needs to keep learning. With every phase of growth, there are new challenges and there are new things that we need to wrap our heads around. And that is where I'm really excited about this opportunity, which is really razor focused on companies like us who are at that stage of, we've got domestic, I'm not going to be complacent, I'm not going to say we've got domestic success because the market is changing all the time, but we're here and people know what we're about and we're doing cool stuff. And this scheme is really aimed at, this program is really aimed at helping companies like us get to the next phase, to internationalize, to find ways of growing our business in other markets, which is a real challenge, especially with small resources. So yeah, I think there's a lot of value we can get out of it.
In terms of mentoring, I think one of the things that I really struggle with in the UK is the lack of mentors or tech leaders who have been there and done it in terms of globally scaling a business and a technology business and feeding that information and that help and advice back into the tech community. So if you look at Silicon Valley and you look at America, you have so many guys who've had big exits, who've made massive scale businesses, who are feeding all of that knowledge and expertise and advice and help back into the next generation. That doesn't really happen here. You're pretty much left to your own devices. And the thing that I value more and more and more as I build my business is expertise, because the stakes get higher, and you want to minimize the amount of mistakes that you make along the way and take the right path. And in my business and certainly on my board, there's no lack of intelligence, smarts, but there is that lack of experience in the sense of you want somebody who says, don't do that, do this, I've done it before, and that you're going to waste time by doing X, Y, and Z over here. You need to focus purely on these three things, and those three things will take you a huge leap forward. So it's that type of expertise and experience that is massively valuable. I see it myself even with my CTO. My CTO has read pretty much every management book going. That doesn't mean he knows which of the management strategies are the right ones to choose at the right time for the business. And having experience from an experienced mentor who's been there and done it and experienced those challenges is hugely valuable in both giving confidence, confirming choices, and helping to minimize mistakes.
From a mentor, what I'd be looking for is it's kind of two clear things. One is operational, and the other one is networks and clout and ability and connections. So from an operational perspective, I'd like to be able to engage with people who have got serious experience building and scaling businesses and going through those pains that we're going through, those questions. Building a business is like building a house from scratch. Where does the door go? How wide is the door? Is there a letterbox? What kind of door handle? How tall is it? What color is it? What kind of wood? And that's only the door, right? And then you've got the rest of the house to build. So there are so many questions we're asking ourselves all the time about decisions we need to make. And the biggest mistake we can make is not answering those questions. It's not doing anything. So I think having people we can talk to and turn to who are trusted confidants, who understand our business very well, to help us answer those questions operationally is very helpful. And then the second piece is around network and connections. Very clearly, to do business, we need to be engaging with as many people as possible that we want to work with at as senior a level as possible. And sometimes we hit a wall. Sometimes it's hard for us to break through a certain level of seniority and get to the right people as quickly as possible. And having the right mentors championing us believing in us and connecting us with people with a third-party endorsement can be very powerful.
In terms of bringing benefits to the mentor scheme and potential mentors who I could get from this program, I certainly think that new technology, how technology is progressing, and new forms of organisational structure and the way in which we're trying to do things to move fast, I could definitely educate the mentor on that and where computer vision technology is going, and everything in terms of cutting edge. I certainly already feel like I'm getting old in terms of the young people in my company and the way they use Snapchat, etc., is a totally different social networking environment than I grew up with, and that would be the same for any mentor above me. So a mentor above me can give all the basics of this is how you need to build a business, but I think the thing that they'll get back is the excitement of all the new technology advances and capabilities within the business I'm trying to grow, and how that can be applied to many different problems and challenges thereafter. So I think they could really help on the guidance piece, and I could really hopefully excite them on the potential of the business.
Mentoring is really interesting because, contrary to what a lot of people might think, it's really not a one-way process. It really is two-way. Obviously, mentors are working with and helping develop and teach the mentees, and that's the relationship I'd be looking for from mentors in this program. But I've done a lot of mentoring myself over the last few years to younger, earlier stage companies, to students, to people who are just in jobs and feel like they just need a bit of help figuring out what they want to do next. And I benefit from that in two ways, two very clear, distinct ways. One is just feeling good from helping people because I've been helped by a lot of people, and I think it's really essential that cascades down, right? And the second thing is engaging with people who are younger than me, who think differently to me, who have different views of the world, who've been born with different technologies and different, and it's in a very different world to me because the world has changed so quickly. And it's really cool just spending a few hours with a group of school kids who are doing their GCSEs and A-levels, and just giving them some advice about what they want to do with their careers, but also just being immersed in their world and coming back with a few nuggets of insights about how kids are thinking and behaving these days. So yeah, I think it's really important that mentoring continues to happen as much as possible to bridge the divide between different generations. It's really interesting because we actually often don't spend enough time talking to people of different generations to us. Not just people older, but also people younger than us. Like when over Christmas, when my 12-year-old nephew comes around and we spend like a few hours over Christmas dinner, it's so fun, and it's a really great cultural exchange because we think very differently, and I get inspired by him because he's young and naive and wide-eyed and makes me think.